suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitate, set my heart afire. Heart on fire.
jack it up.
waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me. So alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only
want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, gravity pulls you straight down, down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and see this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down.
what do you think could be the difference tonight?
Well, good evening, John. Yeah, it's quite an intriguing game for me. I look at the starting lineups of both teams, and the question is obviously how many goals can your centre forwards score? And it's interesting that they've both put in two centre forwards tonight, Welbeck and Morpay for Graham Potter's side, and Sean Dyche, of course, leads with Wood and Barnes. And I just think when you're low on confidence, I mean, I've been in this situation as a player before where you look for your talisman, you look for your top end parts of the pitch, and you need them to be on top form. And I look at both the centre forwards tonight, and I think it's a big night for them both.
Well, let's start with the host, Brighton. They haven't won here. Now, Neil Maupay is recalled after his disciplinary action earlier this week. That meant he missed the defeat to Spurs last Sunday. How much of a boost is his return to the side? And also, how much of a distraction do you think the behind-the-scenes drama will have affected his teammates?
Well, I think it's a big call to recall Neil Maupay, purely because, of course, we know the story behind Graham Potter and what he stands for, a togetherness within his football club and everybody in it, you know, as a collective and not really any individuals. And I just think that Neil Maupay has shown probably look upon himself. You know, this is a Brighton team that is struggling. You know, I think they've got 2 draws out of the last 5, and you don't need anybody coming out of the group and saying that it's all about them. And I just think this is a big call for Graham Potter tonight.
Now, you've been a professional footballer for a long time, Sean. You've had a quite illustrious career. Is it difficult when you are being told you're not dropped? That you are dropped and you're not the starting lineup?
Well, yeah, of course, we've all got egos. I am, because I'm not too sure how many minutes are going to be in Danny Welbeck's game. Of course, it's nice to have him on the pitch because he's a top player, and it's changed the dynamics of... this front line for Graham Potter's team, but I think I'm looking more so for that little combination playing the final third with Lallana, Welbeck and Morpay. This is a very rigid 4-4-2 for Sean Dyche's team, as it always has been. Even the positive seasons of Sean Dyche has been a hard team to break down, but if you can get through that first line, you know, I'm sure Lallana, Welbeck and Morpay, they'll be rubbing their hands with glee.
And to Sean Dyche's Burnley, one of 3 teams still without a win, their worst ever start to a Premier League season, winless in their last 7 games. How surprised are you, I mean, albeit 6 games in, but to see Sean Dyche's side bottom of the table?
Well, I am, because, you know, you look at this Burnley team and this is out, and the 4-4-2 doesn't change whether you win, lose or draw, but to see them with only 1 point on the tables, rooted at the bottom of the Premier League, I think it's quite worrying, not just for the Burnley fans but for Sean in particular. He would have expected a little bit more of that out of his team this year.
A big boost though for Sean Dyche is the fact that he's got his skipper back tonight, Ben Mee, at the heart of the defence. How important is it to have a player of his calibre back for Burnley?
Oh, it's massive. Of course, you know, when you lose somebody of his calibre, of his, you know, the way that he leads this back line. For Burnley. If you're missing somebody like Ben Mee, let's not, you know, he was touted around at the 35-40 million pound mark in pre-season, so to have him back alongside Tarkowski and that back four of Loughton and Taylor each side, that'll give Sean Dyche something to hang on to tonight.
And Sean Dyche has been in charge of Burnley for, you know, a long time, celebrated his 8th anniversary last month, appointed back in 2012, but there's that behind the scenes distraction which seems to be happening now at every club. We've had behind the scenes with Neil Maupay for Brighton, but this is a different kind of drama for them, you know, changing hands.
Yeah.
town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
Is alongside me in the commentary box this evening, and
that they play, the courage that they show.
The Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta there speaking after their 1-0 victory against Manchester United at Old Trafford. Sean Derry is alongside me in the commentary box this evening, and Sean, that was a fairly impressive result for the Gunners. Do you see Arsenal as top?
4 clear points for me where he's just mentioned in his own analysis: his mindset, energy, courage. But I'm going to add organisation to this. I think the way that he's organised his team in terms of the high press and the energy that they play with that high press, I think they could just about break into that top 4 this season.
Well, one side that's still been able to keep up with all the pace despite the chaos around them is, of course, the Premier League champions Liverpool, who defeated West Ham by 2-1 on Saturday. And their boss Jurgen Klopp has been praising
BBC News at 4 o'clock, this is James Kelly. The Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, has announced that the furlough scheme will continue until the end of March, in the hope of saving millions of jobs across the UK. The scheme, which will see the government pay up to 80% of wages, had been due to be replaced at the end of last month. Our reporter, Sima Katecha, says the announcement has left some people wondering whether the government expects lockdown restrictions to last into the new year.
The fact that the Chancellor has said that the furlough scheme will go on till the end of March has made people think, well, are these restrictions going to be in place until then? I can tell you that yesterday the Prime Minister told the CBI that that would not be the case, that the restrictions would only stay in place till the 2nd of December. That is something that Rishi Sunak reiterated in the Commons today.
The former chief executive of Sainsbury's, Justin King, said he was concerned about the amount of
him as a player, giving him the opportunity to come into the Premier League, and obviously now, you know, this young player, he looks to me like
To be a top quality striker, to make it to the next level, you need to have that chip on your shoulder.
I think you do, but I do think there's a fine line between arrogance and super confidence, and I think sometimes he can just go over that line, Morpay. I think he can just go into that little line of antagonising not just only his opponents, but internally his own players as well.
Well, he replaces Leandro Trossard in the starting lineup for Brighton tonight. The two other changes, Matt Ryan returning in goal, and a first start for Danny Welbeck up front for the Seagulls. He will partner Neil Maupay this evening. Turning our attentions now to Burnley, bottom of the table, yet to win a game so far this season. Just 1 point taken so far by Sean Dyche. We said earlier the big news that Ben Mee is back in the starting lineup tonight. Robbie Brady comes in. He's the second change, with Dale Stephens missing out against his old side. We turn our attentions to Sean Dyche, Sean Derry, and they spent a lot of money this summer, 160 million on new players for Burnley, recouping around 93 million pounds. There is the talk of the takeover, the two sort of potential buyers. I mean, Burnley shouldn't be bottom of the table, should they?
Well, if you know, I mean, we're looking at the bottom of the table as we sit here now, and you know, the Sheffield Uniteds, the West Broms, and the Fulhams of this world are always going to struggle in the Premier League. But I actually think that Burnley, they're in that bracket as well. I mean, I look at them just in their pre-match warm-up, exactly the same. Nothing's going to change for Sean Dyche. You know, they're going to have this rigid back four that stays in shape. They want to put the ball in the box at every opportunity for the likes of Wood and Barnes, and the likes of McNeil on one side and not so much Browning on the other side have to be the creators. But I don't think they've got that much creativity in the team, and that's why they're bottom of the league.
They've gone for Barnes and Wood up front for Burnley tonight. Two former Brighton strikers against their old club this evening. So there is the case for the momentum there, and the sort of motivation to try and score against your old team. With Burnley and the way that this season, I mean, you look ahead to their other fixtures to come, Sean, and, you know, home to Crystal Palace, this is all after the international break, away to Manchester City, home to Everton, then Arsenal away. I'm not saying tonight's a must-win, but they have to take something from this game, don't they?
I think you're right. I mean, we don't want to call it must-wins because it's not a must-win at this time of the season, but I think it's a big night for them. You look at what's round the corner with a Crystal Palace, City, Everton and Arsenal. I mean, if you get 1 or 2 points out of them 3 games after Crystal Palace, you're quite happy as a Burnley who are fighting for the lives at the bottom of the table. So tonight's game, it carries so much importance for Sean Dyche.
Well, we'll be back for the start of tonight's match in just a few moments' time. In fact, the two teams are getting lined up in the tunnel. Brighton already and raring to go here tonight against Burnley. Two British bosses, it's Graham Potter versus Sean Dyche, and this is Premier League Live.
Evenings with James James Whale on Talk Radio. Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale, weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020.
A deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
Talksport Legion, assume tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, Talksportus can defeat it.
Talksportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on. Stay informed. And give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
Wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big games at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions, and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Well, you're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Brighton and Hove Albion against Burnley from the Amex Stadium. I'm your host, John Howick, and alongside me is the former Leeds QPR and Crystal Palace midfielder Sean Derry. This is Premier League Live. The two teams out on the field tonight, Brighton versus Burnley. Brighton in all blue this evening, Burnley in yellow with claret shorts, just getting ready to meet in the middle. Brighton with 3 changes tonight. Matt Ryan returning to the starting lineup, as does Neil Maupay. There's also a first Premier League start at Brighton for striker Danny Welbeck. The two captains meeting in the middle now, Adam Webster and Ben Mee. As for Burnley tonight, Ben Mee is one of 2 big changes for Sean Dyche. He's able to recall his captain to the heart of the defence. Big chance for him this evening to show what he's still got left in the tank. And Robbie Brady also coming in to replace Dale Stevens. Well, with Remembrance Sunday just 2 days away, and this being Brighton's last home game before we pay our respects, both the managers laying wreaths on the edge of their technical areas ahead of Remembrance Sunday and all the services that will be taking place across the country at the weekend to remember the lives lost in conflict during the 2 world wars. And the players gathered round the centre circle to show their marks of respect. Swallows echoing around the empty Amex Stadium this evening on a chilly night on the south coast. Brighton versus Burnley. I'm your host, John Howick, and alongside me is the former Crystal Palace midfielder, Sean Derry. And this will be an interesting encounter tonight, Sean, between two sides low on confidence, down near the wrong end of the table. And how important will it be for both teams to try and take something ahead of the international break?
Oh, vitally important. But I think to start with in the game, the first 15 minutes for both teams are so important in tonight's game. What you don't want to be is down within 15 minutes of this game.
Well, the players taking the knee to show that they are united against racism. And we are about to get underway thanks to the whistle of referee Mike Dean, and it's Brighton kicking us off and sending a long ball forward into the Burnley half, which is snuffed out early by Brownhill, chested down though by Yves Bissouma, and Brighton with the early possession, lining up with what could be 4 at the back, it could potentially be 3 at the back. But it's Ryan in goal, defence from right to left of Lamptey, Webster, Veltman and Byrne. Ben White sits in the hole, but there's a chance he could slot into a back 3. There's a slip here and an early chance for Welbeck. Right side of the penalty area, back to Lamptey and fired over the bar from close range. Well, what a let-off for Burnley and for Ben Mee. Back in the starting lineup, that long ball over the top of the Burnley defence. Welbeck sneaking in behind. Ben Mee slipped, couldn't make the clearance. Welbeck got to the ball first, cut it back to Lamptey, who blazed over the bar.
Well, we spoke about this opening period of the game, John, and I mean, what a terrible decision it was. I was looking at the run from Welbeck and I'm thinking, oh, well, it's a great run, but Ben Mee should have just dealt with it. He lost his footing, and this is where Lamptey's popped up at certain moments of this Premier League season, right involved in the 6-yard box, and he should have hit the target. He should have scored there.
1 minute in, Brighton 0, Burnley 0. Early chance though for the hosts, and Tariq Lamptey, who could be a right wing back tonight, along with potentially Dan Byrne on the left. Pascal Gross and Yves Bissouma make up the rest of the Albion midfield, with Adam Lallana in the hole, and it's Neil Mopé and Danny Welbeck up front for the Seagulls. Chance for Burnley to move forward now with Westwood. That's with Brownhill in the middle of the midfield. Back to Ben Mee. The Burnley skipper recalled tonight after a long time out due to injury, having that early scare with the slip that allowed Welbeck to cut that ball back before Lamptey missed the chance to give Brighton the early lead. Burnley playing 4-4-2 tonight with Pope in goal. Defence from right to left of Loughton, Tarkowski, Mee and Taylor. Then McNeil, Westwood, Brownhill and Brady up front. 2 former strikers for Brighton in Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. And the away side now trying to settle down as they just play the ball around, largely unchallenged inside their own half. The referee tonight, coincidentally, is Mike Dean. Graham Scott has not been given a game after his performance against Tottenham in a long ball over the top, a wasteful pass back to Nick Pope. And perhaps now, Sean, we're starting to see that nervy start from these two teams. Lots of passes going astray, no real intent going forward at the moment.
No, and I think both teams are going to give up the final third in terms of their pressing zones. I look at the 4-4-2 of
Dwight McNeil over on the far side. He's right-footed and he spotted, I think, Matt Ryan off his line. I think I'm giving him a disservice there. In fact, it was Loughton with the cross, right-footed.
And we've seen from this Burnley team in the final third, they look to get the ball in the box at every opportunity. They have to, with Wood and Barnes in the box all the time. And I think it was a miscued cross, I really do. And I'm sure, you know, under any other circumstances, Matt Ryan would have just collected that. But it kind of came off the outside of his foot. And we've seen 2 chances in this game already. And it's going to be mistakes. These two teams, unfortunately, at this moment in time, are littered with mistakes.
A free kick given away by Neil Mopé for a high boot on a diving clearance off the head of Ben Mee. And that wouldn't have done, that Loughton chance wouldn't have done much for Brighton's nerves and Matt Ryan's nerves. Recalled to the starting lineup. I don't think he would have wanted that in the opening few minutes, to be tested from that far out and almost being caught flat-footed.
Absolutely. I mean, we do see these 2 fullbacks for Burnley get on. You know, they get into wide areas, and and they're so consistent by getting the balls into the box. I mean, the warm-up was evidence of that. Every time these two fullbacks got it in the warm-up, they was putting the ball in the box for Barnes and Wood. So I think we're going to see a lot of entries into the final third from both teams.
Of course, no Lewis Dunk in the Brighton defence to head those crosses away. He's serving the final of a 3-match ban after being sent off against Crystal Palace a few weeks ago. Brighton now trying to settle things down on their halfway line with Adam Webster bringing the ball forward. The captain tonight in Lewis Dunk's absence. 6 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Burnley 0. They're winning their last 5 games. Brighton a 2-1 defeat against Tottenham on Sunday. Some very dubious VAR decisions as well, potentially going against the Seagulls. They've given away possession in the midfield. That was a straight pass attempted for Lallana. Now coming forward here is Ashley Barnes, who's gone down, I thought, inside the penalty area, but I think Mike Dean said that maybe he handled the ball as he fell to the ground. It was a through ball from McNeil, and as Veltman tripped in, Barnes has just put his arm right the way around the ball, trying his best to win that free kick, but Brighton will keep with possession. Barnes on 98 career goals, scored 53 in 170 appearances during his spell on the south coast for the Seagulls. Here's Adam Lallana, middle of the midfield, bringing the ball out for Brighton. Looking up, and Neil Maupay will try and switch this to the right flank, looking for Tariq Lamptey. That won't find him. It's cleared away off the head of Taylor. Brighton being sloppy and giving away possession here. It was a straight pass by Veltman, and Burnley picking up the ball on the halfway line. Taylor can just work it back here and get settled back with his defensive line. Tarkowski alongside Ben Mee once again this evening. And having Ben Mee back will make Burnley a lot more difficult to break down for Brighton. They've been so reliable for Burnley in the past, but this has been a team that's been shipping goals quite freely so far this season. 12 conceded, averaging 2 a game. And there's a free kick as Ashley Barnes gets a push in the back just inside the centre circle.
Yeah, and he's just having a little word with Mike Dean there, asking why he was adjudged to have given the foul away himself. It was a lovely little ball a couple of minutes ago by Dwight McNeil. What this Brighton team do is they keep the ball in defensive areas really well, but they have got a tendency to overplay from the back, and the narrowness of this Burnley team allows them to go and pounce on stray passes, and that's exactly what the game plan looks to be in this first 8 minutes.
Brighton conceded 14 goals so far this season. 4 have been from set pieces, and here's one to be sent into the box. It's Westwood with the delivery. It's cleared away out of the Brighton penalty area off the head there of Byrne, and then cleared upfield by Webster. And Brighton could try and hit Burnley on the counter here. It's Lallana, and he sends a through ball down the left flank for Tariq Lamptey. He doesn't often pop up on the left wing, but here he is now. I'm sure he'll try and cut in onto his right. In fact, he drives with his left, gets the cross in, and often see Lamptey break away on that left flank, but the pass wasn't really into his path. So fairly decent delivery in the end, but it was a bit too aggressive there from Welbeck, just jumping into Charlie Taylor, in fact, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, it was a good little breakaway about them. This Brighton team is just the style that they play with, the back three and the rotating 2 or 3 midfielders in impact.
Celebrated his 8th anniversary as Burnley boss on the 30th of October. Appointed back in 2012, finished 10th last season, which was their highest Premier League finish and their joint highest Premier League points total, with 54. Not been the best of starts to this season. Did, of course, guide Burnley to a spot in the Europa League, so it's not all been doom and gloom. Certainly that Loughton. Brighton, though, have won it back. Pascal Gross with a try from 20 yards out, claiming that got a deflection. I don't think the officials will agree. It'll just be a goal kick. Remains 0-0.
I think we've just seen an example of this Brighton team in the final third. You know, there was opportunities perhaps 2 or 3 times there, John, where they could have just opened themselves up. Neil Maupay's got himself inside the 18-yard box. Have a strike on goal. You know, I think sometimes they want to score the perfect goal in the final third. And this is a team, this Burnley team, who are low on confidence. That's exactly why they're at the bottom of the league. You don't want to be turning down opportunities to have a strike on goal in the first 10, 12 minutes of the game.
Is that a mentality issue, Sean, with Brighton perhaps? They don't feel confident in you know, going for the shot and taking that risk. They've almost got to, you know, as you say, make the perfect goal.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, the build-up, you know, the training days leading into this game, you'd be expecting Graham Potter to definitely put on certain systems and shapes and formulas to try and get outcomes in training, just to get them in the mood for this evening's game.
Ashley Barnes has received the ball, but coming back from an offside position on the edge of the Brighton box. The flag goes up from our assistant referee Dan Rabathan over on the far side. Barnes, as I was saying, with 53 goals for Brighton, 170 appearances for the Seagulls, finds himself on 92 career goals tonight. Sure, he'd love to score against his old club this evening, and he will really put those Brighton defenders through the ringer tonight. Very physical presence from Barnes and from Chris Wood alongside him as Brighton play out from the back. Here's Joel Veltman, signed from Ajax this summer. Thought he'd be part of cover for Brighton, but due to the suspension to Lewis Dunk, he's starting his third game in a row in the Premier League. He's Basuma coming through the middle of the midfield, scored against Burnley in the back end of last season in the 2-1 win at Turf Moor as Neil Maupay goes down, looking at the referee the whole way. It was a fairly poor effort, a dive there from Maupay. And it's with McNeil over on the far side for Burnley, trying to find their rhythm in going forward. Haven't scored in their last 3 games, the Clarets. As Sean Derry's been saying, they will be low on confidence. Tarkowski, not put under any real pressure, can swear it's the returning Ben Mee. Two teams at the wrong end of the table.
Well, it is, but it's been a game that started with a bit of pace about it. You know, it's not a slow, lethargic opening 13 or 14 minutes. We've seen a couple of mistakes, which I think that's what's going to happen with these two teams tonight. But there seems to be a common ground between both of them, that they want to try and get this early goal in the game.
Ball switched from the middle of the midfield over to the right flank to the feet of Matt Loughton, who takes it down well with a good first touch. Couldn't find the pass past Dan Burn, who at 6 foot 6 inches, there's quite a lot of him to get past at left back. Not often see someone of that physique flying forward at wing back, but that's the task he will have this evening, unless they give Tariq Lamptey sort of free rein down that right flank. Long ball forward that crosses the halfway line by Nick Pope. It's touched down by Ashley Barnes, who, after he wrangled himself free, and that misplaced pass will look at referee Mike Dean, who will give the free kick. And this is what Burnley do. They are a very direct side. They like to launch the long ball up to their strikers and see what they can get out of it. 19.4% of their passes have been long balls in the Premier League, which is a record. It's the highest statistic for direct passing, and that's what they're going to try and utilise tonight, isn't it? The height and the physicality of Barnes and Wood up front.
Absolutely. I mean, they make no apologies for it, do they? You know, they've got some big, strong, you know, big physical players. I mean, I'm looking at Barnes now getting involved with a little situation with Dan Burn. They rough all the defenders up, and they do it really, really well.
But they're shoulder to shoulder, and there's quite a lot of height between both of them as they get ready for this Westwood free kick. It's fizzed in. It will flick off the head of Tarkowski. Struggling to keep it in is McNeil, but he's done so. He's cut it back beautifully, in fact, to Brownhill on the edge of the box. Couldn't get his first shot away. The loose ball will ricochet into the path here of Taylor. Delivers the cross, and there's a header on goal from Chris Wood at the far post. It was a nice delivery in the end. It was hung up well here by Taylor. Wood just sneaking in between two Brighton defenders, but no real pace on the header to trouble Matt Ryan. Ball over the top here, which Lamptey will try and give chase. Can't keep it in play. It goes out for a throw-in on this near side. Brighton 0, Burnley 0.
Just looking back at that set play, and what they do really well, Burnley, is they obviously put the ball in the box and they try and get around the second ball. But what they do as well is they get players outside the box, and that second second delivery into the box is so important for them as well. It's that second phase delivery where sometimes defenders can turn off, and Wood, and obviously you've got Barnes at the top, and some of the centre halves will stay in there ready for that second phase, and I think that's what Sean Dyche will be saying tonight for them. That is a ploy. That's something how they can get this first goal.
For sure, Graham Potter would feel a lot more confident going up against Burnley tonight if he had the likes of Lewis Dunk at the heart of that Brighton defence. He's so good in the air. They have got the height of Dan Burn and Adam Webster and Joel Veltman as well, but it's not the same physical presence as having the Seagull skipper Lewis Dunk, who misses out tonight, serving the final of a 3-game ban. He'll be back after the international break as they travel to Aston Villa. Let's roll back here to Matt Ryan under a bit of pressure from Ashley Barnes. They'll play out from the back here, Brighton. This style of play that's been enforced by Graham Potter since he took over from Chris Hughton. They gave up the safe pair of hands for a manager that likes to play attractive football. It's been pleasing on the eye, but it's not been taking the points, which is why Brighton find themselves just 2 points clear of the bottom 3 going into tonight's game. Here's Burnley winning back possession in the midfield. Pass here from Westwood, which is slightly out of reach of Robbie Brady. That allows Dan Burn to sneak in behind him and win back possession. Veltman steadies himself as he starts to bring the ball away here for Brighton. 0-0 after 17 and a half minutes here at the Amex Stadium. Basuma works it out to the right flank. Veltman with a pass, finding Pascal Gross, who's dropping into those little pockets just beyond the Burnley midfield. Veltman with the ball over the top, looking for the run of Mopé, headed away by Ben Mee into touch now to play for a throw-in. Brighton still can't quite penetrate this Burnley defence.
No, they can't, and you mentioned the word pockets there, and this is everything that Adam Lallana looks for, doesn't he? You know, he's such a clever player. We saw it with Liverpool when he was outstanding for them, when he got a game time for them. So he'll be looking at this rigid 4-4-2.
It's Dan Burn with a try on the half volley that goes well wide. Pascal Gross got the ball on the right flank, switched it over to the left. Burn took it down well, to his credit. Nice chest, and on the second bounce as the ball got down to his feet, just sort of smashed that shot wide as it started to swirl clear of the far post of Nick Pope there. Maybe that's a sign of frustration, Sean.
Well, he caught it well. Sadly, it was the wrong side of the post, and it didn't cause any problems for Pope. But this is what this Brighton team do. They get their wing backs high, advanced wing. They turn into wingers, but you need a little bit more quality. At the end of it, unfortunately, there, Dan Burns kind of just swang, and I think he should have took an extra pass, I think.
Yeah, Brighton trying to use that sort of press and those extra wingers, as Sean Derry mentioned, just trying to really force Burnley back and create a little bit of extra space and certainly a bit more width, but they are at risk of being hit on the counter. And here is a long ball up towards Chris Wood. That's how Burnley gained their ground, but the second ball is miscontrolled by Ashley Barnes, who then claims the last touch came off a Brighton player when Matt Ryan picks it up. Of course, that is nonsense as we just carry on trying to claim the back pass, and Brighton will bring the ball forward and away down this right flank with Veltman. 19 and a half minutes gone. Brighton only taking 1 point from their opening 3 home games. Haven't won in their last 7 here at the Amex, conceding 18 goals. They've lost 5 of their last 7 here, including that defeat against Manchester United when they thought they got a point and the final whistle had blown. But it turns out VAR was able to give Brighton a penalty, which Bruno Fernandes converted after the game was restarted. So you're never really safe, even when the final whistle goes, to be honest, as Ashley Barnes wins his side of throw-in. Gives a throw-in away to Brighton over on the far side. Burnley with just 1 away point won so far this season, their only point. That was in a 0-0 draw against West Brom. Goals have been hard to come by for the Clarets, as Mike Dean isn't happy with where the throw-in's being taken on that far side. It's eventually played in short to the feet of Basuma. And Burnley getting themselves up the pitch, but there's no real press. They're not really engaging with the Brighton defenders, but they have managed to force a mistake there, and they've won back possession thanks to a stray pass from Webster. Here on the overlap is Loughton, delivers the cross to back by Barnes to the edge of the D, hoping to find Brownhill, hooked away by Lallana. Brighton coming away, Gross with the header. It goes over the top of Danny Welbeck. He's able to control the ball and then surge forward up against Robbie Brady down this left flank. He moves into the final third. Welbeck slows down his run, looks up, tries to play a 1-2 with Mopé, gets inside the box here. Welbeck couldn't quite get the shot away, just eased off the ball thanks to the strength of James Tarkowski, and that's good defending from the Burnley centre-back. Welbeck thought he'd done enough after that 1-2 with Mopé to drive on towards the byline and maybe get the shot away. That's good physicality, though, by Tarkowski to keep it at 0-0.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Graham Potter will be looking for. That's why he's played these two tonight, to try and link in the final third. It's a lovely little half-turn by Danny Welbeck. He got himself inside that 18-yard box, and then Mopé came to life. And I think that's important, that they're bright and they can be creative in that final third, because this is a very rigid back four.
Welbeck is a signing from on a free transfer from Watford, of course. Here he is now on the edge of the D, gets the shot away, but it's charged down well by Ben Mee, who threw his body to the floor to make the challenge and block the shot, as Welbeck this time with a header that goes well wide of Nick Pope's goal. Couldn't quite direct it when the cross was sent in, but as you say, he will offer Brighton a different dimension. Danny Welbeck, don't often see Brighton go with two up top, but Graham Potter must be confident that there's some kind of partnership that could blossom between Welbeck and Mopé, as we saw with the previous chance with the nice 1-2.
Yeah, and I think that stems from training. You know, obviously these players are top players, and there's a lot of competition for forward places, especially at Brighton, but he'll be looking for that combination. Who are going to be the two lads who can score us the goals? And then they throw into the equation just how poor this start's been for Burnley. And I think that's why, if you can get a good hour out of Welbeck tonight, I think Graham Potter will be delighted.
A long booming kick upfield by Nick Pope, which eventually dropped down here for Veltman in the right back position. Ben White's pushed off the ball, but it's already gone out of play for a throw-in, so it will just be a Brighton throw. There is striking options on the bench for Brighton, likes of Aaron Connolly, along with Alexis McAllister. Then Johan Bash, Alzate, Davy Proper and Bernardo for Brighton. As Burnley can work this ball to the centre circle with Matt Loughton, who's been able to get up the field fairly freely for Burnley. As much as the Brighton fullbacks are pushing on, Loughton's finding success. And here's another for Burnley on left with Charlie Taylor. That cross, though, is far too close to Matt Ryan. Easy take from the Australian in the Brighton goal. As for the Burnley subs this evening, there's Goodmanson, Rodriguez, Vidra, Long, Thompson and Dunn on the bench for Sean Dyche tonight. Not an awful lot of firepower. There is the likes of Jay Rodriguez and Vidra. It's still it's not the most commanding bench that Burnley could have, to be perfectly honest. They have been hit by an awful lot of injuries so far this season, but getting Ben Mee back tonight for this game is a big boost for Sean Dyche. 24 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Burnley 0. The home side trying to play out from their own midfield, and Basuma can work it wide to this right flank to bring forward Veltman. Stops on the ball in front of his manager, who looks on. Sean Dyche and Graham Potter standing there edge of the technical areas on a cold night on the south coast. Through ball here by Lallana. Welbeck's peeled away wide to the left, a couple of yards away from the corner flag, but his pass was intercepted. Loughton will turn and clear, and that will find touch, will it? No, Robbie Brady's clearance is kept in play well by Webster. And Brighton now starting to force Burnley a little deeper. Lallana on the far side sends in the cross, comes off the head, Gross with a chance, straight towards Nick Pope, who moved well across his line to stop the German midfielder's header. And I think as that delivery was sent in by Lallana, it's a good cross, might have just flicked off the head there of James Tarkowski, which might have helped it into the path of
Pascal Gross. A good save, though, an early save from Nick Pope.
Yeah, and it just came from a little bit of a individuality play from Lallana. He's got that in the locker, hasn't he? Going to stop the ball and then move it really quickly, and he entered the box, and I think it was a standard left-footed cross in there, but you're right, a little deflection fell in the pathway of Gross, and he done well, to be fair, getting his head on it, and it was a standard save for Nick Pope. But that's what we're looking for this Brighton team. Can they find Lallana in them advanced positions? He doesn't want to be dropping into a deep position because he's not creative there. He's creative in them little zones. We've just watched him there.
Just a second start this season for Pascal Gross. Started the 2-1 defeat to Spurs last Sunday. 12 goals and 16 assists during his time at Brighton. He is part of a side, certainly the last few years, where he really has been the attacking outlet for the Seagulls. That's been somewhat replaced with the arrival of Lallana, but very encouraging to see them both in the lineup tonight. And here is Matt Ryan picking out Pascal Gross, who turns and passes into space here for Neil Maupay to bring the ball forward, 25 yards out. Through ball here for Lallana, sends in a low cross which flicks up. Welbeck couldn't quite get the touch on it that he needed to turn it towards goal, and Nick Pope quick off his line to gather the ball, keep it at 0-0.
Yeah, Brighton are just starting to turn the screw here. I mean, there's some great little forward runs by Adam Lallana. He's getting in between full-backs and centre halves, and his delivery into the box is excellent. It's full of quality, it really is. And that's the dream for a centre forward. When you know you've got one of these number 10s or an advancing midfielders who can pick out a pass, you know, all you've got to do is make a double run, get in front of centre halves, and that's what Welbeck and Maupay will be looking to do tonight.
Brighton scored 4 goals so far in their 3 Premier League home games this season. Yet to find a way past the Burnley defence tonight. 0-0 at the Amex. Myself, John Howick and Sean Derry calling this one on Premier League Live. You can tweet into @TalkSport Live to let us know where you're listening from tonight and who you're supporting on the start of match week 8. As Dwight McNeil slightly overruns the ball, and he's pickpocketed there by Tariq Lamptey, and Brighton will clear their lines. Poor pass though, collected here by the commanding figure of Ben Mee. Leaves the ball off to Westwood. Burnley with a chance to attack 30 yards out, controlling the ball out wide, working it to Loughton, delivers the cross, that deflects. Matt Ryan thought he did enough to keep it from going behind for a corner off of the touch of Basuma, but that will be a corner for Burnley, and a chance for them to really show their physicality here. The likes of Barnes, Wood, Mee and Tarkowski will come forward, and this could be Burnley's chance to cause Brighton problems, Sean Derry.
Yeah, and this is what Sean Dyche should be telling his team. You know, make sure the delivery is right. Everything's about the delivery when it comes to set plays. You've got 4 real monsters there waiting to throw the head on it. We're looking at the way that Brighton have just set up inside 5 players alongside the 6-yard box.
As Sean calls them, the monsters come forward. And here is the left-footed delivery right under the crossbar of Ryan, who punches it away. There's a bicycle kick that goes just wide, an overhead kick there, which was by Robbie Brady, just wide of the far post, and that's the sort of delivery they need right under Ryan, giving him real problems there. Wood and Barnes were sniffing around the Australian goalkeeper, wasn't the best of punches clear. Brady's claiming with the overhead kick that it got a deflection on the way through. It didn't. It remains 0-0, but Burnley starting to show that they can cause problems from set plays.
Yeah, as we know, it's all about the delivery. The delivery was right underneath the crossbar, and Matt Ryan was struggling. You know, he's not the biggest goalkeeper, as we know, but when you've got 2 centre forwards stood in front of you, it makes it even more difficult for the goalkeeper. And I think that's what Graham Potter will be saying is, stop the cross, defend it properly, but don't let it go out for a corner, because we don't want to be defending too many of them tonight.
And Brighton have conceded 4 goals from set plays this season. And Neil Maupay took a knock, but he's back up, so should be okay to carry on. Ryan playing out for the back. Burnley have certainly pressed higher up the field, and Lallana's very lucky to get away from Matt Loughton, but I'll give him credit, had the composure to just dribble his way out of trouble and get around the Burnley fullback while he was on the edge of his own box. It's with Neil Maupay, who's dropped deep here, spreads the play over to the right flank. Lovely pass to pick out Tariq Lamptey to come and charge forward. Haven't seen enough of him tonight for Brighton. Here he is now on the overlap, tangling with Charlie Taylor. Tackle comes in and goes behind. Will be a corner. Ben Mee with the recovering challenge, so Brighton will win the corner. But my word, Charlie Taylor, after Lamptey had burst past him with the acceleration, had to be very careful there not to give away a penalty.
Well, if that would have ended up with a goal or with a penalty, I mean, the assist was incredible. It really was. Credit where credit's due. Lamptey stood on his feet and he's kept himself going. A lot of players would have gone on the floor there and looked for a penalty.
He's very lucky there, Charlie Taylor. It almost looked like it could have been a very clumsy challenge, but as Sean says, it was Tariq Lamptey who decided to stay on his feet and charge on. And Pascal Gross will take this corner for Brighton over on the far side. Their first one of the evening, half an hour in for the home side. He plays it short. Tariq Lamptey in support, back out to the edge of the box. Lallana chips the ball in, doesn't beat the Burnley defence, comes back out to Lallana. 25 yards out, edge of the penalty area, left-footed cross from this right flank. It's again fended off by the Burnley defence, but Brighton have kept possession. They've worked it out wide to Gross, low ball into the box, stabbed clear by Ben Mee. Charlie Taylor will try and clear that away. I thought that might have maybe gone past the byline. It's going to go out of play instead for a throw-in on this near side, and not the best of delivery there from Brighton. We saw how good a delivery should be from a corner from Burnley moments ago, and Brighton's short tactic didn't seem to work. Veltman will play the throw-in into the chest